Morning the ends where the cold wind bite. Man, them try test me, but me never show spite. So me get left alone, real no real too. Ghost in the man, I just pass right through. Drop thing dead, city stay in a bin. Pounds no stack, man, nah see no win. Me I pre the roads, little cash, little sin. But me soul start scream when me untouch the thing. Nah, never that life. Me see the youth, them lock up, me see the strife. Temptation strong, but my mind move wise. Man hold firm, me no pay that price. Never that, man no fall for the rat trap. See the game, but me sidestep that. Find me way, and me never look back. Never that, hunger pain, me no stay upon that. Get me faith fun away through the maze. Now me brain print cash in 100 ways. Yo, born in the belly of beast where the fiends don't sleep. Old man sip that poison deep. Bare lies while mumsy weep. Cheat, gaslight, twist up facts. Home weren't home, just broken flats. Bills stay red, fridge stay bare. Whole team peak, but nobody cared. Had to move smart, had to move cold. No handouts, just do what you're told. End stay gritty, man get caught. One wrong step and your life get bought. Some man slip, some man fall. Dodge them youths that bang then crawl. Mind stay sharp, heart stay still. Fake one smile, but the hate stay real. Cut them charts, patterns talk. Pound sign flip when the candles walk. Turn them losses, made that back. Study them graph like I studied the trap. Came from the trenches, now it's sats. Trade move clean, no feds on backs. Camel show man to think with tact. Skeptic mind, don't trust no stats. Moving up still, but I ain't forget. Scars from the last, I could keep man check. Pain in my chest, still see them bets. Made mistakes, man, learn from that. Now man eat, now man rest. No more stress about ends or debt. Cash flow clean, mind stay free. No more fear, just life in me. No, never that life. Me see the youth, them lock up, see the strife. Temptation strong, but me mind move wise. Man hold firm, me no pay that price. Never that, man no fall for the rat trap. Saw the game, but me sidestep that. Found me way, and me never look back. Never that, hunger pain, me no stay on that. Kept me faith, found a way through the maze. Now my brain print cash in 100 ways.
All right, is this thing on? Hello. Welcome to the Camel live stream. I don't know what I'm supposed to be clicking on. One sec. Okay, I think we're set up. All right, hello. Thank you for being here. I don't know what the plan is. I think we're just going to waste some time because I don't think there's a great deal to do. I can see a bunch of questions. If you could, as always, let me know if you can hear me, please. That will keep me sane. I can see some people asking how the wife is. Yeah, she's good. Baby's well on its way now. So I think we're like 3 months out, something like that. So I don't know how I feel about it yet. Wholly positive, but also kind of not ready at all. But I suppose it would be weird if I thought I was ready. I can see people saying the music is cool. Yep. Shout out Sheep Herder for that one. And what else is going on in here? Saw a few other questions. What's a simple way to explain Bitcoin to your parents? I think you can have fiat currency that is mathematically guaranteed to go to zero over time, or you can have Bitcoin that should be mathematically guaranteed to increase in purchasing power over time. Hi Cobra, hello brother, how you doing? Hello to everyone else. Thank you all for being here. And if you've got some questions, everyone's saying loud and clear. Awesome, thank you. More tunes, less Camel. Yeah, I mean, for those of you that don't know, because people ask me this quite a lot, there is a playlist with all of the tunes in, and they are also on Suno AI here. So if you go to, suno.com and then search for Gizmo XXL. In fact, I'll put a link in the thing. Here we go. And you can go and check out all of Gizmo's tunes. He just made some new ones. He's banging one out a month at least, I would say. And yeah, they are in the playlist. I think they're also on Spotify too. So yeah, you can have as many tunes as you like. What else? What else is going on? Yeah, I suppose we've got to talk about Fartcoin, right? The new flight to safety. If you ever needed proof that we had hot timelines, I think that would be it. Let's talk PPI. We can talk PPI. So take a look at this. Deflationary, right? Core PPI month over month coming in deflationary, as is headline, which is even more deflationary. So I haven't checked the markets yet, but I can't really say anything other than we did expect this, right? We use Trueflation all the time to point at and gauge the overall trend. And I know there's been a short-term wobble here, but at the hard right edge, clearly in a disinflationary trend. And when we zoom out a bit more, you can see that this is clearly down sideways and continuing down. So not really, what's the word, unexpected, right? We did expect this. This all kind of makes sense if you've been following the work. And I'm pretty sure it's going to continue because we still haven't really seen the, where is it? This one right here. We still haven't really seen the steepness of this drop show up in the officially reported data yet. And as I showed on the main channel today, we also haven't seen the shelter component start to catch up. They're still using lagging metrics. And so the real number is actually below this 1.35% for CPI. The real number is probably more like 1, which means the Fed is incredibly far behind the curve, doesn't it? As I keep saying as well, I continuously make the case that they are already super late to cut. Meanwhile, somehow we're still pricing 71%, 71% chance of being paused. So, I mean, that's why I keep saying this is a controlled demolition, because I suppose there's two outcomes, right? Either I'm completely wrong, nothing I'm saying is at all close to the truth, or this really is overly restrictive. And when you have overly restrictive policy, when we walk forward into the future, it is going to eventually come home to roost, so to speak, right? We are eventually going to find out that they have been very, very far behind the curve. I imagine that by the latter half of this year, they start to panic cut. I would imagine that's what you're going to see. And it's going to be too little too late. But it's just kind of what they do. It's kind of what they do. They kind of engineer these big blow-off tops and these big bull markets, and then they crash them all, make them come tumbling down, and then the whole pony show goes over again. So I still think that this will reprice in favor of cuts in May, so long as the yields can play ball, which at the moment they're not, right? So the fake out turning into perhaps a real breakout, we'll give that some more time. The Dixie also being a bit of a problem child, refusing to find a weekly cycle low. So it looks like it's going to get quite overextended here. But I would think this again eventually manifests as bullishness for risk assets, at least for the short to medium term, maybe into the middle of the year. And then we can reassess and figure out how bad the damage is going to be. Bitcoin hanging around 82K, which is nice, right? And I'm guessing by the fact that VIX is up, the futures are not doing too good. But again, that kind of makes sense because we know that they're unlikely to bottom until we've wasted enough time to get to the cycle low. So yeah, a bit of green, but nothing to write home about. Probably going to be still chopping around this kind of neighborhood. And again, we know the cycles are down for, I don't know, how many more sessions do you reckon? Something like 18 more trading sessions. And then we can start to entertain actually finding a reversal. And then it's going to have to be a case of one day at a time, right? We're going to have to try to see if we can get this lower high and die. If we do, then we're going to have to really, really be sure to exit here and flip short. And if by some miracle David Hunter is right, by the way, for those of you that don't know, I believe David Hunter has raised his S&P target from 7,500 to 8,000. So if he's correct, we could be looking at something like this. Does it seem likely? No, not really. If I'm being honest, it doesn't. But I can assure you that the Camel Crew does the best in times of uptrends. So if we're going to get something like this, then we're probably going to do the best out of almost everyone. But based on the current structure of the market, I don't think it's that likely. But as ever, we'll be open to it and we'll be ready to catch it if it is, if we're lucky enough to actually have that as an opportunity to get behind. But yeah, so we'll see. Do I follow M2? Not really. No, I'm not one of these people that thinks it carries as much weight as it does. You started trading this year and it's been quite painful. I can imagine. Yeah, it's been painful for me and I've been doing this forever. So don't beat yourself up. Think long term and we'll be all right. Do I use dark pools? No, I don't. Crazy guy, I hope he's right. Yeah, I hope he's right too. I really do. Because if we can get some kind of repeat of this, I mean, we did really, really well at catching this. We did okay here, right? Paid a couple of stops on the way down and then we got back on trend. We did well at this portion. So if something like this is coming again, then there's no reason for me to think we won't do well out of that situation. But who knows, right? Who knows? I certainly, I can't have this as my base case all the time that the market looks like this, right? I mean, we've had the third angle break, we had the second angle break, we had a failed cycle, and now we're probably going to trend into a new low on a balance of probabilities, right? Because it's pretty rare that you get a spill, a failed cycle, and then a higher low. It can happen for sure. That could be bottomed and we could pull back into a higher low, right? This could absolutely be on the table, but it's not the most probabilistic outcome based on the cycle strategy. Based on the cycles, we are going to do something like this, new low and go. And then by here, when we zoom out, it's going to look a lot like a top, right? You wouldn't really be thinking what comes next is 8K based on just eyeballing this. I think you would be much more kind of reasonable to expect this lower high and rollover, right? That just kind of, that would make a lot more sense based on my experience anyway. But who knows, right? These are wild times. We've had 3 bear markets now in the last 10 years. That's weird. That's super weird. It's not really normal to have like, you know, a bear market in 2018. This was the taper tantrum. A couple years later, we get 30% in the C19 era. A couple years later, we have another, what was this, 30% bear market or something? Yeah, nearly 30% bear market. And then the yen carry trade, somehow we got away with that. Now we've got this tariff tantrum. You know, none of this, which is now a technical bear market, I mean, none of this actually is normal, I don't think. And it kind of speaks to the end times, the fourth turning, all of that stuff, the fire in the madhouse. But we'll get through it. We always do, right? We always do. Let's talk about gold. Gold is, if it wasn't for this, I would be really, really sad, to be honest with you. I'd be really, really sad because the stocks have not been working out this year for us. The Bitcoin trade has not been working out. And so if it wasn't for this and adding a whole heap of miners back at this weekly cycle low, then I would be quite sad and depressed. And I think the members would have also quit by now as well. So yeah, this is keeping meat on the table for sure. Super, super happy with this. Let me show you this interesting fractal. Okay. Now fractals, as you know, they're just fractals. But look at this. Does this not fit extremely well? And if so, we're going to bull flag here and then go straight to about 4K. So that's pretty wild. And then I don't know what that means for the weekly cycle. Does it mean it was there and that was super shallow? That would be strange. Or does it mean we get a super overextended one and it forms there? Or are we about to deviate away from the fractal? Maybe, right? All of those things are possible. But so far, if we get a bull flag and a break from here, in fact, let's move this. If this occurs from here, then I think I got to be long, to be honest. And we'll see. And by the way, it might get a lot more insane than most people realize. So yeah, we'll find out, I guess. We'll find out. If they're going to start slashing rates and panic cutting, that's the kind of environment you'd probably expect to see gold do this. And as I was mentioning before with the members, if we do something like this, then we will have quite a clear blow off top type pattern, something like this. And then that third angle. And I would imagine we go and lighten up the miners and all of that kind of stuff up in this neighborhood if it is to play out, and then look to reallocate it at that 4-year cycle low, which is actually the half cycle in the 8-year cycle. So yeah, but I mean, I've been super bullish on gold ever since I've had the channel. I've always said that we should not ignore gold, and that the Bitcoiners that say silly things like Bitcoin will demonetize gold and, you know, gold's going to go to zero eventually because Bitcoin's going to replace it. Well, not according to this chart, at least, right? Not according to this chart. So yeah, let's see. That's what I think of gold anyway. What happens to real estate if stocks crash? Thank you for the $2, by the way. Need that to cover some of the holes from my stop losses of late. I would imagine what happens to real estate is it crashes anywhere from 20 to 40%, if I am right, in that we've either topped and we're going way lower, or even if there's another new high, if David Hunter's right, say, and we go all the way to 8K, we're then going to come tumbling down. The second half of David Hunter's call is an 80% bear market, which is in line with my thinking as well. And if we are going to crash 80%, it seems reasonable to me that houses would suffer anywhere between 20 and 40%, depending on where you are in the world. Now, let's be clear, because whenever somebody says something like this, and I'm not saying you're young, Josh, I don't know you, obviously, but there's always a bunch of kind of younger people that hear that and think, oh yes, I'm going to be able to get on the property ladder, I'm going to be able to wait for a crash and get in. But the reality is, it might not play out like that. And even if it does, and even if we do get a decline, because people are over leveraged and interest rates are still overly restrictive and all of that kind of stuff, I would think any decline in property is quite short lived, because from a psychological standpoint, anyone over the age of about 35 sees property as a safe haven. Property has just continuously gone up, or at least held its value. And I don't think people are going to suddenly watch a dip in property price and then say to themselves, well, I no longer care about property, right? The rich are going to go around and buy a whole heap of dips in the housing market. And I would think the moment they turn the printers on, which again, my estimation is still that they do that somewhere between mid to late 2026, then I would think house prices snap back up again and go on to make new highs. That would be my expectation. So if you're kind of a richer person, or you're perhaps already in your first house and you're looking to upgrade your house, then keeping an eye out for a recession and looking to buy during that crash might be a good way to increase your purchasing power. If you're a first-time buyer, then again, if you're not ready for 6 months and hopefully in 6 months' time everything's come tumbling down or whatever, maybe you can get in there. But I've had a lot of people email me over the last year or two, and ask me things like, hey, if you think real estate's going to crash, do I hop in now? Do I wait? Blah, blah, blah. And the way I've always personally looked at it is you don't want to try to time the bottom of a housing crash to get on the ladder. Because for all we know, this is the roaring 20s. They're going to keep printing and houses are just going to go to Valhalla. And if that's the case, you might end up waiting to get on the property ladder only to be locked out. A lot of people during the C19 era kind of thought, well, houses are going to come down loads. I'll wait. Many people I even saw were selling their houses to buy other assets, and then they printed money and houses popped right back up to new highs. So I don't necessarily think it's a good strategy to kind of be sidelined, because you need a place to live. But yeah, that's my thoughts. When Joyride livestream, I actually went for a Joyride earlier on today, and the traffic was horrific. I couldn't get any space anywhere, and yeah, it was really hot in the car. So I came back. The poor dog was asleep in the back. But I am thinking of doing a couple of Joyride live streams. I don't know. I seem to be one of the only crypto YouTuber guys that doesn't stream from his car from time to time. I don't know why this is a trend. They like to sit in their car and point a camera at themselves. But yeah, I've never really capitalized on that. So I might be missing a trick there. Do I think now is a good time to add more gold? I don't know. Because according to the cycles, this yellow squiggle should be playing out. And even if it plays out from slightly higher up, we should, according to the cycles, still expect left translation and failure into a weekly cycle low here. So from a cycle perspective, probably a bit late to be buying. But if the fractal is correct, then, there's 100% rally sitting right in front of us, maybe more. But which one of those is correct? I don't know. I have no idea. So do whatever you think is best for you. Do I think we can have a massive rally on equities? I hope so. I do. But at the moment, it's not really the base case. Buy a house for your gains. Yeah, I mean, in theory, if this whole idea is correct, then there should be one final leg for Bitcoin, and then you should be able to rotate that out into a house at a slightly discounted price. In theory. But it doesn't always work like that, right? Are we still expecting left translation in gold? Yes, we are, for now, until proven otherwise. So we're only on day 3. So any time before day 9, which would be maybe slightly later than that, actually. Any time before the 25th, I think we can consider left translated. And if we're making new highs past that, then, I would say that fractal is probably in play. Will we see a blow off top? I don't know. I can't possibly know. I think Bitcoin has another leg higher. I'm not convinced the stocks have a new high left in them. And a lot of people would say, how can you expect one without the other? But I don't know. Crazier things have happened. So thoughts on alt season? I still think there's not going to be a broad-based alt season. A handful will probably do well. Which ones, who knows? If I had to guess, I would say probably some meme coins and the ISO coins. But I don't know. I did not see that Trump asked permission to fire the Fed guys. No, I didn't know about that. Do I think Bitcoin will run faster than gold over the next few months? Yes, I do. Yep, Fed is preparing another stealth QE in the form of 2 trillion bailouts for hedge funds. Yep, that's true. Good day from Australia. Hello, brother. What time is it over there? Would make sense gold coming down into a weekly cycle low while Bitcoin moves up. Yes, it would. Yeah, if we can get a topper here, then it would probably ignite that move to the upside. That tends to be how it works. Thoughts on silver? Silver's lagging. I don't know why. I think my gut tells me it's probably got a catch-up trade in it. But yeah, it's been behaving quite weird. So it can move and cover a lot of ground quickly. Will it though? I don't know. Target tops for May, Matt? What? I'm not sure. MicroStrategy. I mean, you know what I think if you're a member. We'll see. Right, we'll see. Do I expect Bitcoin and gold to go down if we move into deflation? Yes. In crashes, all correlations 10 to 1. So yeah, there will be a dip, but things like Bitcoin and gold should be the first and fastest to recover. Explain your deflationary bear market view, please. Where's the... I mean, can you watch rather than me explain it, can you please watch any of the weekend deep dive videos? The long and short of it is, we printed a record amount of currency and M2 expansion during the C19 era. And anything you do to M2 shows up in the CPI with a lag. So M2 looks like this, right? It was trickling along and then boom, printed all that in the pandemic. And then we got a snapback. So that snapback has mostly shown up, but the last little bit hasn't, which is why we will end up in deflation ultimately. It's a very simple rule. Anything you do to M2 shows up in inflation, and you can't have an increase like we had during the C19 era without having it snap back into deflation. That as well, and coupled with the fact that we're already overly restrictive, right? They should have been 100 basis points lower than this by now. If I was the Fed, we'd be 100 basis points lower than this. So that doesn't mean I'm right, but it does mean if I am right, this is extremely overly restrictive. Do I think alts will rally again? Yeah, like I said, not many of them, but we'll see. Do you believe we'll see at least 60% crash in Bitcoin? Yes, I do. I do. At least 60. I think it'll be closer to 80. And I know that's probably not consensus because the bear markets have been getting shallower and shallower, but I think it will probably break that this time around. That would be my guess. How do you accumulate gold? However works for you. Paper gold can go bust. It has its risks, but you have to weigh that up and decide what works for you. Some people have no problem storing vast quantities of physical gold. Other people, if you live in a high crime area or whatever, or you don't trust your cleaner, then you might not want to keep a bunch of gold in your house. It's really up to you. Thank you for all the nice comments. I think I'm behind. I'm always so behind the comments. Winston had a fantastic birthday. Yes, thank you. Took him to the pub with my mum and her dog. And we took him to, not a beach, but like an estuary, and he had a good run around. Got him the wife got him a birthday cake, a doggy birthday cake to eat in the morning as well, which was cool. Do I live in Britain? Yes, I do. Anunnaki will buy all the gold. Yeah, that's an if you know, you know, I guess. Silver is the new ETH, maybe. Yeah, I suppose it is. I think everyone was expecting silver and ETH to do better than they did, and they haven't, especially with Bitcoin and gold doing the things they've been doing. Plan to start investing in S&P index funds for long term. Would it make sense to buy gold? I think gold will outperform the S&P 500 over the rest of the decade. That would be my guess. But if I'm right about the crash in the stock market, right? If something like this is really coming, you know, if something like this big deflationary crash is coming, let's say we do this, and we end up I don't know, 50 to 80% down, there will be violent snapback rallies. Really, really, really violent snapback rallies along the way. The market could do, 100% to the upside and still come no way close to the ultimate highs. So I think it will be a trader's market, but I think largely speaking, the commodities are going to be the place that performs the best. Like I've long been saying $60 for oil. We kind of hit that. Now I'm expecting this thing to kind of chop around for a while. And then I would think this thing could go as low as somewhere between 20 and 40 if a truly deflationary moment is coming. I mean, back here it went negative, remember, during the C19 era. So anything and everything is on the table. But from here, the gains were absolutely monumental, right? And I think we're going to see something similar, down to 30-ish and then up to $200 or $300. I think Nat Gas as well, as another example of why I'm focused on commodities after this thing kind of eventually works its top out and crashes. I could see this easily going back down here to anywhere between 1 and 2. And then that would make perfect sense from deflation. But in response to the massive printing that I expect to come, I would think this thing could even go as high as $15, maybe more. And again, from $1 to $2 all the way to 15 odd. I mean, this is the kind of gains that's going to be really important. I don't think this is going to be achieved in the stock market anytime in the next couple of decades. So this is why I think, commodities are going to be where it is. I also think whatever happens to gold, it's probably got a good 30% decline waiting for it at some point. But then from there, the target, as you know, is 20k plus. I think silver as well is probably going to do this huge pump at some point, if I'm right. And then it's probably going to move somewhere between 20 and $30 to, I don't know, 200 or 300, maybe more. So again, this is all end of decade stuff, but the gains there are going to be, in my opinion, vastly outperforming the stock market. I don't really know in terms of, I don't really think I can give advice for you on when or when not to enter the property market. I've always, despite being a trader, I've always just looked at my house as I need a place to live. And I don't think about it in terms of trying to time the lows. I don't think about it in terms of it being part of my net worth, because it's not liquid, right? Like, there's a lot of people in this world that are millionaires, and if they've got £1 million net worth, they're like 900k in a property, right? Some of them, their entire net worth is their property. And to me, that just means you're broke, right? If your entire net worth is illiquid and you don't want to sell it because you don't want a smaller house, then when your car needs a new tyre, you have to save for that. So what's the point of being an asset millionaire if you've got to save to put a new tyre on your car, right? That to me has never made sense. So what's always worked for me is to just have a very small house relative to your net worth and then keep the rest of your money liquid, because then you can actually spend it, enjoy it, invest it, get it back to cash if you need to. So yeah, that's always been my approach. Don't necessarily think of your house as trying to time the lows. Don't think of it as your actual net worth, because even if your house is a really nice house, and you could always argue, yeah, well, I'll sell it and buy a smaller house. But do you want to do that? Like, hardly anyone wants a smaller house, right? Everyone wants a bigger house. That's why everyone's like hyper leveraged on their property, because people use them as status symbols and everything else. So yeah, I would say if you need a house, just buy a house. And especially if you've got the money, just buy a house. And then you've got somewhere to live, and your quality of life will go up relative to living in your mum's basement or wherever you live now. Or if you're happy renting, rent, I guess. But for me, I think, like I said, I wouldn't focus too hard on it being, an asset or part of your net worth. Because again, there are loads and loads of people, for example, that are asset millionaires, and they've got, even if it's half and half, like, I don't know, 600k in a house and 400k in a pension, like that would be considered a pretty wealthy individual in the UK relative to all the averages. But realistically, they're still broke, still completely poor, because they're not going to sell the house, so that money's tied up forever, and they can't have their pension till much later in life. So where's the money, right? Where's the Ferrari? Where's the Lambo? right? You're not going to have any of it because all of your money is illiquid. So anyway, yeah, that's my rant on property. That's how I've always looked at it. Will we have a big rally at the start of QE and printing? Yeah, they will. Absolutely. Absolutely massive. Because each round of printing is exponentially more than the time before. So all of those gains from C19, from the lows, will be seen times 2 or 3, I would think. What do I think about silver getting left behind? Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it at all. But I think we've done okay because we added a bunch of gold mining stocks. We added the mining ETFs and that kind of thing. Physical's been being stacked up. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully silver catches up. If it doesn't, well, whatever. Everything else will cover it, I guess. It will eventually go. As long as you've got a timeline of 2030-ish, then silver will eventually be tenfold higher than it is now. I'm sure of that. Yeah, good point, Matt. Once you're on the ladder, even if your house crashes, you can still upsize because everyone else's house has crashed as well. Yeah, exactly right. So the big factor is not having 99% of your salary in your mortgage, isn't it? Right? Like, what's easier, to cut back on your monthly expenses or and free up 500 quid a month, or to get a £500 a month pay rise from your boss, right? It's obviously easier to live within your means and then have more disposable income than it is to talk your boss into giving you 500 quid a month raise. So yeah, I think that's a really underrated skill set, is to just kind of stay in your lane and not worry about impressing the neighbours that don't even care about you. Fartcoin is liquid, yeah. So therefore, we can deduce that Fartcoin is a better investment than property. Is it possible to look for a bottom? Yeah, I think it probably is, based on the views of the channel. I know like Ben Cohen does some work on that. The views have definitely declined. Actually, if you put up a Bitcoin chart, I think I showed this in the members video not that long ago, but by the time we got here for Bitcoin, views were peaking on my channel, and then they fizzled out to here, and they didn't come back till here. And the views actually, as I showed with the members video a week or two ago, we got a double pump perfectly in line with this, and then a drop off in viewership on the channel. So a lot of the people that watch crypto YouTube are slaves to the tape, which is, I guess, expected. I guess that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Could I ask a question about adding the gold miners in longer term accounts when the time is right? When the time is right to add more. The strategy is pretty much I'm just going to add it every weekly cycle low. So I don't know where the next one is. It should be in line with my yellow squiggle, as I said. If it's higher up, we'll see. Right, we don't know yet. But I think there's plenty of time. I plan to just hold them till the end of the decade. Any crashes or deflationary crashes that should show up, if they do, then I'll just use that to buy the dip heavy and keep holding till the end of the decade. Why can't we print this year to save it? Well, the Fed, why would you bet on that? It doesn't make sense. The Fed has been late and reluctant to even cut rates. It still sits there and beats this drum about, oh, inflation is sticky and we need to be data dependent and we're not in any hurry. That's what it says all the time. So to think they're just going to pivot on a dime and print money seems silly. I think we've got an incredibly stubborn Fed chair. He's not going to be in any rush to do any kind of printing. And that is going to exacerbate the downside when it eventually shows up. And then eventually, I do think they're going to start printing, but I don't think they're just going to announce 20 trillion. I think they're going to do a couple of trillion and then wait, and it's not going to be enough. And then a couple more trillion and wait, and it's not going to be enough. And then eventually, it's going to cause this real sort of problem for everyone. That's what I think. In terms of the reset and the base case for Bitcoin, it's really, what's the chart to use? This one, I guess. So let's go monthly and log so it fits. I mean, you can see the yellow squiggle, right? 1 right trans, 2 right trans, 3 right trans. This one is clearly right trans already. And then that tells us cycle 5 on a balance of probabilities should left translate. Now, it could be that Bitcoin is its own unique beast and that won't be seen. Could easily be that. But on a balance of probabilities, from a cycle perspective, this is the most probabilistic outcome. So this is what I'm betting on. And it actually fits with the idea of get to 2026 and see the QE come in, especially if it's record QEs, especially if the stock market's down 80% by then, or even 50% by then. That would justify getting the printers running up turbo. And by now, everyone, including governments and Wall Street, know that Bitcoin is the black hole for liquidity. So that is what I think drives this huge pump to 800k-ish. That's like a pretty much an arbitrary guess. It just kind of fits based on my eyeball on the chart. But yeah, we get the front running, and then it will need a long drawn out bear market. When we zoom out, it will just be cycles doing cycle things because we didn't get left translation in cycle 4, so it shows up in cycle 5. That's normal. That's to be expected. And I think it fits with the whole reset narrative. By the time, if you imagine we get 20 trillion, I mean, think about how difficult it was. The printing back in C19 created a have and have not economy, right? There's half the people walking around richer than ever, and the other half is living paycheck to paycheck as a result of this inflation. If you were the half that had assets that benefit from printing, then you've never been richer, right? And if in here you didn't know anything about Bitcoin, gold, stocks, whatever, you were over leveraged on your house and your business and all of that went broke, well, now you're living paycheck to paycheck. So what do you think is going to happen if we get double, triple, or even quadruple the amount of QE down in this neighborhood, right? It's going to be a lot worse, and that have and have not is going to be even more divided. So that, for me, is where we get the kind of reset part start to come into play. It could entirely be the case that I'm wrong about this and the top's already in and we're already on our way down to that reset. But I think from a liquidity perspective, from a market cycle perspective, we're not going to get it just yet. I think we've got probably another push to the upside for Bitcoin, decline into that bear market low, QE bomb, huge numbers. And then by then, if you haven't made your money here, then you're probably going to be slipping towards the have-not economy. That would be my guess. That's been my base case for a long time. Well, not exactly, actually. The base case was it would left translate here, extended bear market, and then we would have this big push. But other than that, the base case has always been we're going to get to 2026 and see that liquidity bomb and the QE bomb. And that is still very much the expectation. So can we have some altcoin analysis? Nah, I'm not that guy, man. I'm not that guy. People really didn't like the fact that I was saying the things I was saying about altcoins. But it is what it is. There's too many of them. I'm not that guy. I think there's just too many other people that are more suited for it. I don't even know what half of them do. Not even half. I don't even know what most of them do. Even in the top 10, outside of the stable coins, I doubt I know what more than one or two of them do. I'm still not even sure what Ethereum does after it merged to proof of stake. Like, like what are they doing? So yeah, I'm not the guy you want to hear altcoin analysis from. When is the gold audit gone quiet on the news? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think it was always the way. They were never getting in Fort Knox. And that was another funny one as well, because I said they weren't. And then a lot of people were like, oh, you watch too much BBC News. You've been propagandized by the British government and all of this crazy stuff. And I was like, brother, I don't even watch that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think, look, no matter how powerful Elon is, no matter how rich he is, no matter all the good things or bad things he may have done, like, he's never getting in Fort Knox. It's not a place you can just knock on the door and say, can we come in and inspect your gold, bro? Like, it goes a lot deeper than that, you know? So anyway, I don't think we should be going too far down any rabbit holes at this moment in time. What's my target for the Bitcoin bear market? I think, I mean, it depends how high it goes, but I think we're going to be somewhere around 75k. That would be my guess. And we might spike 10k up or down at that. Why nat gas long term? Just pure response to printing. can we discuss Bitcoin miners, their performance as well as their doom? I mean, their poor performance, you say. I mean, it's about managing expectations, because where's this, right? This looks pretty bad, I admit, right? We're down quite a lot. If you bought up here, then you're not happy right now. But the absolute truth of the matter is, if you bought at the right time, which is a 4-year cycle low, right? Even after this massive spill, these are still doing 420-ish% for this current cycle. And that may not be the 35x that MicroStrategy did. That may not be the 35x you wanted, but that is still, what, a decade, 2 decades worth of S&P 500 performance in 2.5 years. So they might have underperformed your expectations and mine. I'll hold my hands up and say I thought they'd be doing better than they are. But they are still doing okay. They're still outperforming. Now, they're not outperforming Bitcoin, which, again, they probably should be. But it's too early to draw any conclusions here, because for all we know, new highs are coming out of the next weekly cycle low, right? This is a weekly cycle low, one final blow off top. And then no one's going to be saying anything bad about the miners. And even some of these more beaten down ones, like Riot, which is approaching the lows here, right? Approaching back at this 3 level. This is still up to date, something like 100-odd%. And I agree that that is not super performance. That's not major overperformance. But from the low to the high, it did just fine, right? 500-odd%. And again, in terms of how long does your average S&P 500 tracker take to do 109%, certainly a lot longer than 2.5 years. All this thing has to do is find a weekly cycle low and explode to new highs. And again, nobody is going to be complaining about the poor performance. So I think an awful lot of the minor underperformance has really been founded in the fact that people bought the tops and assumed that they had another 20x in them, because that's what MicroStrategy did. But in reality, I mean, let's take a look at Marathon. I think I did a whole video on this, actually, showing the relative performance. And they're really not out of alignment with prior cycles. They are actually performing more or less as expected. I mean, this is 264% after the spill. So this cycle, yeah, sure, it's underperformed Bitcoin, as I said. But the reality is that's a decade's worth of NASDAQ performance in 2.5 years. That's not bad. Yeah. And it is a stock, remember. It's not a commodity. It's not got a limited supply. In fact, they keep diluting their shares to buy more Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. So that performance is okay. It's probably your expectation that wasn't. And again, I admit that I would have thought by now, based on Bitcoin being as high as Bitcoin is, I would have thought the chart, by the time it got to here, looked more like this by now. And it doesn't. So I think we all had too higher expectations. But it's still not necessarily out. Because look how quickly it covers the ground from here, right? It could easily be that all of this is still to come. It could easily be this. Like, we have no idea. And if Bitcoin is going to snap to 150 plus K, then maybe, just maybe, something like this could be on the table. So it's a little too early to discount it. Granted, there's a lot of technical damage and underperformance relative to your expectations, but never say never, right? And again, keep in mind that measuring it from the cycle low to today, it's done better than a lot of altcoins. That's just the absolute truth, right? Yeah, my background is chemistry. I don't know why people are always really interested in this. I don't know why. So yeah, that's that. Meme coin analysis, nah. Serge, you're forgiven for being late. Bitcoin miners are in a strategic space. Yeah, there's a lot of state actors getting in to mining and in a very serious way. Yeah, agreed. I don't think anything bad is going to happen to the miners. I could easily be wrong, but I'm still surprisingly positive here. Maybe that's because my entries are probably a lot lower than most people's, but I think this is okay, you know? And also, I think maybe if you're like a meme coin guy that only just got into the space and thinks everything does 1,000x in 3 weeks and that's normal. But for me, you know, getting 290% or whatever the number is in 2.5 years, I mean, that is pretty good. That's, I think if you're disappointed with that, then I don't really know. Like, so that's a pretty decent return for a stock in 2.5 years. And if you were smarter and took some profit higher up, then, you know, you could have had nearly 10x. So can I explain long dated bonds and how it drives the markets? Not really. No. I'm not really a bond guy. MSTR is looking more and more like the top is already in. Yeah, still following that fractal. Hello, Will. How you doing? When summer beach party? The sun has been amazing here for the last week and a half. Absolutely amazing. I've gone up about 4 or 5 shades. I went from like a pasty white to quite a nice brown in a week and a half. It's been really, really, really nice. Is this the exit bounce on Bitcoin? Yeah, maybe. I still think we're going to new highs on Bitcoin. I know that probably seems crazy, but I still think we are. Thoughts on Tesla? I know my Camel indicator picked a low there a little while ago, and it's holding by the looks of it. So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It could really go either way. It might need a consolidation cycle into... When's the next timing window? I bet it's the 7th of May, right? Where's the 7th? Something like that. Grab this. Yeah, maybe. So maybe it needs to come a bit more chopping in here, find that low, and then go. I don't know, that looks a bit wonky. I mean, for me, this downward sloping red on the outside, not this one. That one there would be the line of attack. If it can get through there, then it's on. It's on for sure. €10 at 4.5. Yeah, don't be a slave to the tape. Give it some space, right? Give it some space. Give it some space. It's still probably going to roll over and move lower, I would think. I could be wrong, but just give it some time, right? There's probably a lot of games being played. You got tariffs, you got China, you've got margin calls as well. That's a big thing. People need to generate liquidity any way they can, and they've dumped their bonds that they don't care about and that were supposed to be the safe haven. They'll dump them, and that forces the yields up. But overall, let it play out, right? Judge it. I say give it 2 weeks. Give it 2 or 3 weeks. And then see where we're at. Because I reckon in 2 or 3 weeks we're going to be below this low. I'll be surprised if we're not. Yeah. 4 at the most. Let's say 4 at the most. If we're not below this low in 4 weeks, I'll be shocked. Do I generate my intros? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I steal them from Twitter. I think I made the one this morning. I made this morning's one. Sometimes I pinch them off Twitter. Am I an ex-bank trader or a Wall Street guy? No, I'm not. I'm a chemist. I was a chemist for a pharmaceutical company. Multiple, actually. Can I go fishing? No. My brother was my fishing friend, fishing partner, but he got a new girlfriend recently, and now he's all occupied chasing that. I still see him once a week at least, but he's got better things to do than be out fishing, if you know what I mean. Also, I don't want to go fishing just yet because the markets are already kind of damaged, and if I go, then you know everything will get worse and worse and worse. Where do you think GME is going to? I am long GME. The members know about that. That's all I'll say. Gold is going crazy. Hard to stay on the side waiting for another low. Yeah, but hopefully you got in on the weekly cycle low. Hopefully you added in the long-term accounts. And if not, then you know you can ape in here and hope for the best, or you can be disciplined and stick to the system. It's entirely up to you. If you're a long-term holder and you just want to buy physical and hold it for the rest of the decade, then what's a few $100 amongst friends for an ounce, right? If the target is 20k, it really doesn't matter. But if you're trading, then probably some discipline and risk management would be advisable. Will I wait for the trend line to get broken on Bitcoin to open a position? No, I think I'm going to wait for the 4% now. It feels like I haven't seen a 4% green day in a long time. I still think, I mean, I've been saying it over and over again. Where's my cycles? Turn those on. I still think we're going to get a cycle low in the timing window. That will turn out to be the weekly cycle. I still think we may need to do something like this first. How low it goes. Whether it's above this low or slightly below it, I don't really care. But something like this yellow squiggle here suggests makes the most sense to me. And then I think it's on. And if it's not on, then I'm wrong. And I will start to make content to say, I missed the top and I did a really bad job with this and I should have sold here. And I'm dumping my spot and I'm leaving with my tail between my legs and dumping all the miners as well. But I still think that when we go on a weekly time frame, we had a chance to print a weekly swing low and a weekly cycle low here. Okay, if this candle where my cursor is now from the week of March the 17th, if that candle made it up to about 94k-ish, I would have said, okay, that's a weekly swing. And then if we come down and fail, I would have been dumping spot. But it never confirmed. It never confirmed at all. It didn't look right. There's no Brexit cross. It just never did it. No true trend line break either. Notice the trend line that connects all of this, okay? No true trend line break. So this is not a weekly cycle low. It just isn't. And as such, I'm still pushing the trades. And one of the members pointed out to me that my attitude of being like, let's keep pushing this thing for all we can, right? Push the trade until it becomes unreasonable to do so. You need that attitude with Bitcoin because of its volatility. If you're just going to hop out and dump the stack every time you get a slight violation to the downside, then you're going to get shaken out. When in reality, these are weekly higher highs and higher lows so far, right? This is a big, strong uptrend. And for all we know, something like this is coming in the next few weeks. And to be honest, it's still my base case that something like this is coming in the next few weeks, right? And I think we go higher. I really do. I know people don't want to hear this, or a lot of people don't agree with this, but this is what I think is coming. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But at least I'm in there, right? At least I'm pushing it. At least I'm really giving the market the space to give me the performance that I'm hoping for. If I just, like I said, go dump in my stack here, we could wake up in a few weeks' time and be in a true breakout, and then I would have had to pay 24% capital gains, which I think is the rate, now they've changed it this year, for the UK. And then chase it back higher, right? I'm not really about that. For the trades, I don't care, right? I place the swing trades all the time, and the stop is the stop, and whatever. But that's just paper Bitcoin, right? That doesn't matter. But when it comes to the spot, I want to keep pushing this thing. I really, really, really want to give this thing as much space as I possibly can. I don't want to be puking here only to watch the market turn around and me look back in hindsight and say, well, of course, higher highs and higher lows on a weekly basis, right? So I know it's not for everyone. And a lot of people need to manage risk, and a lot of people can't afford to take the kind of risk I take and whatever. But for me, you know, I'm staying on trend and I'm pushing this thing, and it either works or it doesn't. But I want to give the market space to do what it's going to do, because if it's got another leg, then I definitely want to be there for that. How long have we been going for? How long is this? How long is this? Does it say? 1:40. What time is it now? Oh, it's an hour exactly. Okay. All right, we'll hang around for a bit. More kind words. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Glad you're trying out the indicator. The feedback on the indicator has been really, really good. I'm really torn between... I don't want to shill the indicator all the time. But I'm actually really proud of it. It's actually really, really good. And the feedback has been fantastic. So yeah, it's cool. But I'm a bit what's the word, hesitant to come here every day and be like, buy my indicator, bro. 150k in the next 6 months. I think it can go more than that. I really do. I really, really do. Yeah, lose enough money and then no capital gains tax. Yeah, I guess so, but nah, I don't know. Those altcoins have just never they've never done it for me. I don't know what it is. I think it's my penny stock background. When I first got into trading, I traded penny stocks, and they're pretty much the same as meme coins or altcoins, but they have less. They have all the same risk, but slightly less upside. I remember thinking like 200 or 300% would be, you know, I'd be walking home with a spring in my step if I ever even saw that, and I would, you know, hardly ever be able to catch something like that in terms of actually buying 300% lower than I sold. But by the time I graduated to mega caps and left that behind, and then, it must have been, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years later that I first heard about altcoins. By the time I got there, I was like, I'm so done with this stuff. I'm so done with insane volatility. And Bitcoin really is so volatile. You compare this to gold or the S&P. I mean, this is nuts. So yeah, I have no interest at all in moving towards altcoins. Is there a way to go from crypto to gold without paying tax? I don't think so. Not in the UK anyway. Not that I'm aware of. Have we been getting dividends on the gold miners? I haven't even noticed. I've really been exercising the long-term account mentality, which is I bought a bunch and I haven't looked. I genuinely haven't looked. But yeah, that's cool. We got some dividends. That's nice. That's really nice. Matt, I'm concerned you're looking too often. Why can't Trump just walk into Fort Knox? Who does he need permission from? The central bank. And the central bank is a privately owned corporation, right? Trump controls the military, kind of, but not really. There's parts of the military he doesn't control. And we're going to get the stream taken down. And yeah, the central bank is a private for-profit corporation, and you can't walk into a private firm and say, "Oh, I want to see what's going on in here." That's not how it works, right? And again, I think I was ranting about this on the episode on the main channel this morning. He has signaled multiple times. Powell has signaled multiple times that he's above Trump, and a lot of people kind of missed it, or maybe they weren't paying attention or whatever. But if you look at him, people asked him questions openly in these meetings. They say, Powell, if Trump wants you to resign, will you? And he goes, no. Right? He couldn't have made it more clearer. Right? What does that tell you? It is quite clear to me, at least, that he doesn't answer to the president. Why would you not answer to the president? Because you're above them. That's just the way it is, So, I mean, I could be totally a crackpot and, I could be wrong. But there's been multiple of these instances where I think they've deliberately signaled to the world that the central bank is above the president. And certainly in the UK, our prime minister, he answers to the central bank, not the other way around. And I think that's quite common. I think it's been deliberately engineered that way. So we're going to have to delete the stream after I'm finished recording because we're going to get in trouble for saying these kind of things. Have I considered moving to a country with no capital gains tax? Yes, I have. I've considered this multiple times. I've spoken to my wife about it, and we both agree that as cruel as the UK tax system is, we love our family too much to just abandon ship and leave. So we have actively made the decision to give over half of our money away per year in exchange for being able to take my mum to the pub and go on a dog walk with the in-laws. So, I mean, there's more important things in life than money. Let's say that. But yes, I have considered it. My wife is too pale to move to somewhere like Dubai. So yeah, it is what it is. We did consider Portugal. We've been to Portugal a few times. We really like it there. There's a few other places. I think the closest place to us is the Isle of Man, and I'm pretty sure that's a tax haven. But again, it's just like we live in quite we're all quite close together. Our entire family. There's not many of us, and we're all quite close together. And the last thing I could ever do is just say to my family, my brothers, my in-laws, all of that. Just say, oh, well, look, I don't want to pay any more tax, so you're on your own. See ya. I'll see you next year for Christmas, maybe, if I can be bothered to get on the plane. Or you can pay £1,000 each to fly and see us. I just couldn't do it, right? We've grown up having no one but each other. And so, yeah, I have to pay the tax. That's all I can do. And I do it gladly because I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I do care, but I don't think about it. What can you do, right? What can you do? You're a triple OG member. Triple OG Sam. I'm calling you out on this. All right, let's see. Oh, you guys can't see this. All right, hang on. channel OGs. I've got a PowerPoint. It's been a while since we showed this. I need to recap this. What did you say your name was? Triple OG Sam. I've got the spreadsheet. I can't see you here. Let me see. Oh my gosh, you're there. You're right. Brother. You changed your handle. Thank you for following me for all this time. 500 subscribers. That feels like a lot. That was 3 years ago. It was the 22nd of March that was our 3-year anniversary. I cannot believe you've been here for 3 years, brother. Thank you very much. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to pay for anything. The whole idea of this is that there are multiple service levels. So if you want to just tune in and use the 6 free videos a day, there's actionable setups, right? There's 6 videos a week. Don't feel obliged in any way, shape or form. The fact that you've been here since 500 subscribers is more than enough for me. I don't want any of your subscription money or anything like that. So just thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Go Guernsey. Yeah, Guernsey's kind of crowded though, right? Guernsey's crowded. Crowded and I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me. I don't know. Can I bring my family with me? Not really. I don't think I can ask them to upheave their life and just come and live with me. I reckon 1 or 2 of them will be up for it. But it's that balance, isn't it? Right? Mrs. Camel, as much as she loves my family, does she want to live with them? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I really like where I live. I really, really like where I live. I like the area. I like the fact that all our family are local. I like the fact that we got beaches and countryside all within, half hour or so. I'm very lucky where we live. Yeah, I can't really fault it. I mean, put it this way, if I really didn't like it, I would move, right? But I'm more than happy to pay a lot of tax and stay here. So I think that says enough. When Dacia driving Bitcoin millionaire, I don't know. Dacia's billionaire spec, right? Got a way to go before we get to billionaire spec. Would you like the US to annex y'all? I don't know, man. Maybe. My wife's best friend has married a American, and she loves it over there. But again, I think they live in Arizona, and I think it's just too hot for my wife. My wife's too pale for that. Habibi, come to Dubai. Yeah, I like the look of it, but something tells me I wouldn't like it there. I don't know what it is. Can't put a price on family. Exactly. I only do this in the first place to help my family out and stuff, right? So yeah, I'm lucky as well. I don't live in like a high crime area or a city or anything like that. I'm really, really blessed where I am. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Portugal used to be more tax efficient for sure. Am I going to do a face reveal someday? I don't think I am. For the simple reason that I have a son on the way. And at some point, in a few years' time, he's going to be old enough where people will be like, oh, that's your dad or something. And I just don't really want that. Not that I'm trying to say I would be famous enough to be recognized, but you know how kids find everything? Anything that's on the internet will be dug up somehow, some way by your children's friends at school. And I don't know. I'm just not about it. I just like to kind of keep a quiet, peaceful life, stay away from it all. So yeah, I don't think the face reveal is coming. Never say never, but I don't think so. It doesn't seem likely. Most people seem to unanimously agree it doesn't seem to be a requirement. So you've been here since 15k. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We got to be at 100k. I think it was projected to hit 100k just after December. So maybe with a bit of new Bitcoin price extreme, we could get there a little sooner. That would be cool. Car stream. I was thinking about doing a car stream with a camel mask. That's wait, let me show you. This is what I was thinking, right? I was thinking about buying. I mean, I'm not sure it's even legal to drive in this in the UK, but like maybe something like this. As far as I'm aware, as long as it doesn't obstruct your vision, then it's not illegal. But I think this is. I think this is probably not allowed. But I was thinking like something like this and take one of the cars for a drash. I thought that could be interesting. But I don't know. For my age, people always ask me about my age, right? You can do the maths. So I did 4 years at university, 6 years in the pharmaceutical industry, and then 11 years trading. So you can do the maths, right? So I started trading, I did it for about 4 years whilst I still worked. And then at the end of year 4, we went to full-time trader. And we're coming up on 16 years. So you can do the maths, right? Plenty of people know my age, but they all think apparently I sound 20, 25, which is interesting. I do apparently look a lot younger than I am as well, but no, I'm married, kids on the way, and that's quite late for somebody my age. So yeah. I think we're just immature. No, I was late to having a first child, and I got away with it because my wife is a lot younger than I am. So I got away with it for a long, long time. She's only just getting to that age where she's starting to think, oh, I should probably have a child soon. But if she was my age, then that ship would have sailed. So yeah, I got away with it for a little while. And I managed to delay by getting a lockdown puppy as well. We got a puppy, that was 5 years ago yesterday. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Is Bitcoin breaking out right now? I doubt it. No, it's not. It's not. For me, anything above 92k and we can start to entertain, okay, we've got a serious chance here at moving to new highs, but not before about 92k do I think we can even begin to entertain upside. Don't ever show your face. Yeah, exactly. This is me, right? This is literally me. That's it. Malaysia is tax friendly. Yeah, but do I want to live in Malaysia? I'm not sure I do, man. That is far as well. That is far from the UK. You're 35 mins behind, catching up. Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, put that thing on 2x and catch us up. Social security. No, I don't think we get that in the UK. No, she's not a young redhead. I think she's brown, but she's always had blonde hair. She loves to bleach it all the way. She was ginger for a couple of years, the last 2 years or so, and now she's slowly going back to blonde. But I think there's a process. It's not the sort of thing I pay too much attention to, but I think there's a process for women. I don't think you can go from dark to blonde. I think you have to like bleach it out and then condition it or something. You have to put certain chemicals on and reduce it so your hair doesn't fall out, something like that. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, she's always changing her hair color. Her natural color, I think, is brown. But as far as for the 11 or 12 years we've been together, has it been that long? Nah, 10 or 11. Yeah, she's been blonde for at least 8 of those, 8 or 9. So, but it's a fake blonde. No reason to do the face reveal. Yeah, thank you for the support. I don't think we need to reveal the face. There's no going back either, is there? Right? Once the camel is out the box. You had your kid at 35. Yeah, I think it's getting more and more normal to have them later in life, right? Your life will change. You won't have any time anymore. Maybe. I'll be honest. I've been stressing about this a little bit lately because for a long time now, I've had total freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want. And my wife only works 3 days a week. She would not work if it was up to her, but I insist she works in case something happens to me. Or we get divorced and then she won't have any qualifications. Because I think in the UK, if you go, I can't remember if it's 6 or 12 months, but if you go 6 or 12 months in the UK without working as a nurse, which is what she does, then you lose your PIN, your nursing qualifications. You have to retrain from scratch. So I insist that she does at least the minimum to keep hold of that so that she doesn't end up totally unqualified. And I also think there's a certain amount of requirement that my wife has to go and care for people and And I'm more than happy to sit here all day, every day, and do nothing apart from stare at charts. But my wife would go insane if that was her life as well. So I kind of insist she goes out and has some social interaction outside of this house. Why were we bringing this up? I've lost my train of thought here. Oh, I've spaced. This is not good. No, it's gone. Oh no. Yeah, and I'm showing my age now, aren't I? Anyway, yeah, so that's that. Winston was a lockdown puppy. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy times. Oh, I think I was talking about having time as a kid, was I? Having time with the kid. But yeah, I was a bit stressed about that because, like I was saying, I've had total freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, for as long as I can remember now. And I think it's going to be quite different suddenly having to put a child's needs ahead of mine, and sort of structure things around that. I think that's going to be kind of strange. But I'm sure we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Yeah, Winston was a lockdown puppy. How about DCA into Bitcoin now? I was thinking about starting a DCA side project. I think I mentioned that this morning. Yeah, the ROI on Offspring is probably pretty low until later in life, I would imagine. But hopefully, if they look after you later in life, it's probably worth it. I was a real problem child for my mum, and she always says that, yeah, I was an absolute nightmare to raise the entire time. But later in life, I do look after her, so I'm hoping that's what happens with me. I'm hoping later in life he can look after his old man, and then it will have been worth it. Time's always there. It's just different. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. The Netherlands, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can leave the UK. I don't think there's anywhere I can go. But, well, the sleepless nights, I actually think I'll be fine with sleepless nights. I don't require a lot of sleep. I'm not a good sleeper anyway. I regularly wake up 2 or 3 times in the night. And you would think that makes me tired and lethargic and unable to get on with life, but it really doesn't impact me at all. I don't seem to need much sleep. I seem to get away with it. So I think I'm going to be okay. But perhaps those are the famous last words, and perhaps that is spoken like a true naive parent-to-be. Has my wife ever tried trading? No, she hasn't. But her financial literacy is a lot higher than you might think. She's a very smart lady, and she has obviously absorbed quite a lot of me chewing her ear off over the years, because her financial literacy is pretty high. So I've never gotten her to try trading. She's never really expressed an interest in it or never needed to. But I think she would probably make a reasonable trader, I would imagine. You had your first at 40 and your wife is a bit younger also. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, isn't it? I think as long as you're fit and active and healthy and in the right position, you can do it, I think. It just changes, not one-to-one. But how has your life changed from having Winston? My life changed from having Winston. He became my best friend, as sad as that sounds. But we because we got him in lockdown, I never left him. He was always there with me. And then staffies, he's a staffy, and they're not very good at being left anyway. You shouldn't really, like, if you're going to leave your dog for 4, 5, 6 hours a day while you go to work, then you probably don't want to get a staffy. They just don't do well with being left. So I kind of never ended up leaving him. And then I'd had him for 1.5 years and he'd never been separated from me. And then fast forward to today, I've probably spent no more than a handful of days away from him. When we never leave him in the house alone. I drop him down at my mum's or the in-laws, if I'm going out for dinner or away for the evening or whatever. But my life hasn't changed that much, apart from the fact he's just always here. He's just always here. And I add in at least 1.5 hour dog walk a day, which is really nice. But I would imagine the kid will probably be a lot more different to that. Once I give my dog an hour and a half walk, he's more than happy to just sit on my lap or sit behind me whilst I do my work. And it doesn't really impact me or him very much. When the sun's out like it is today, he'll go and let himself or ask me to let him out in the garden, and then he goes and lays in the sun. Sometimes I lay with him. But generally speaking, yeah, he's just like always there. Even right now, he's just behind me asleep. And that's us. And if I go for a drive, I throw him in the back of the car and we go for a drive. Or if we go to the pub to get lunch or dinner or whatever, we take him to a dog-friendly pub. He's literally always there. Literally always there. So I imagine it'll be kind of the same. Although my wife has found a local nursery that does countryside stuff. They've got animals and they teach them farming and planting vegetables or something. Apparently she's insisting he goes there. So I actually think I might spend more time with the dog than the kid, but but that's okay. It's probably for his own good. Otherwise it'll be another weird camel that sits here and stares at charts all day. Do I like hip-hop? Not especially. No, not especially. There's a handful of songs, hip-hop and rap songs I do like. But I've always kind of thought, particularly in the UK, drill is quite normalised now. It went from being underground to pretty mainstream. Like you can even hear some of the drill stuff on the radio. And I honestly think that stuff puts me into a lower vibrational state. I really do. And I don't like it for that reason. I even don't like a lot of pop music because I think it kind of alters my vibration. I do like dance music, the EDM stuff, drum and bass, jungle, dubstep. I like all of that stuff. And there's a lot of other music I like as well. I like a lot of rock and roll and guitar type stuff. But I'm very, very cautious that it seems to be only the drum and bass and the stuff without singing and lyrics, right? Anything without singing and lyrics I seem to be able to listen to, and it doesn't seem to put a damper on my thoughts or send my mind places I don't want it to be. But I find whenever I listen to anything with lyrics, I'm like, my mind goes to places I don't want it, like lower vibrational states. So I always kind of try and avoid any music like that. Any music with lyrics and stuff, I try and stay away from. Middle child. Oh, where did that go? Oh, I think I'm falling really far behind these comments now. Let me try and catch up. Oh no. Your middle child carved your name into the door of your car using a metal trowel. Oh no. I mean, I suppose that's bound to happen. Even some of the walls in this house that I'm in have got a pen on them from my niece coming around. I've got a big whiteboard in my office and they like to draw on the whiteboard. They think it's fascinating. And they like to draw and doodle and whatever. But underneath that whiteboard is loads and loads of pen because for some reason they've got to draw it on the walls as well, right? I guess that's just part of it. Yeah, just go with the flow. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's what you can really do, right? Yeah, I'm sure my life will be different, but we'll get through it. We'll figure it out, right? How bad can it be? Get a snoo for your baby. Okay, noted. Mrs. Camel takes that kind of thing really seriously. She's been buying all sorts of stuff, so I think we're probably quite prepared. I imagine she's done a lot of research. Yeah. I imagine most. Tell your wife to sleep with the baby. I can sleep alone. I guess so. Well, she's probably not going to like that. Well, one parent has to be rested. Yeah. Nah, we'll be okay. I don't need that much sleep anyway. We'll see how it goes. I could always sleep downstairs with the dog. Do I think the next cycle low could come as a higher low? Yes, I do. What's the probability? I don't know, 50-50? In fact, it's not 50-50. 80-20. 80% of the cycle lows form as expected, 20% outside. So 80% probability it's a lower low. Oh, thanks, Simon. Appreciate it. Jordan is one of the very few traders I really look up to. Getting a dog later this year. Yeah, nice, Matt. You'll love it. It's great. Staffordshire in the days here. My base case is no cuts in May. Yeah, maybe. I mean, they've been digging their heels and they've been stubborn, right? People tuning in from Nepal, thank you. Thank you for being here. All right, well, how long has this stream been going on? This has been going on a while, right? An hour 20. All right, let's do 2 more minutes. I always say this. Camel, stop ignoring me. I'm not ignoring you, bro. Sorry. What's my opinion? What, in your opinion, is the best thing to load up on in the next weekly cycle low? Gold, Bitcoin, stocks. I think Bitcoin will probably have the highest overperformance. So I think we get this for Bitcoin, 150k minimum. That's what I think. And I think, therefore, that Bitcoin will probably be the one I would pick. I also think if gold gives us the setup, which it's not going to, maybe it will. I also think any weekly cycle low for gold is worth buying between now and the end of the decade, practically. So that's cool. Miners are breaking out and leading as well. Yeah, I mean, this is a serious move now, isn't it? Go to the monthly time frame, and I mean, this is breaking out of a huge base here. So yeah, this is for real, for sure. And I think the stocks would be the one I rank third, because for me, as I keep saying over and over again, the base case is a cycle low and a lower high until proven. Try again. Until proven otherwise. So not even that high, probably more like there. That's what I'm thinking. And hopefully David Hunter's right. Hopefully we're going to 8K, and hopefully we get another record year. But I don't see it at this moment in time, unfortunately. So yeah, there's that. GME, if you're a member, check out the GME post in the member section. We sorted that out. I mean, we can look at it right now. Why not? I mean, GME, the new flight to safety, right? Oh my goodness. I mean, what do you want to say? What do you want to say, right? I mean, anything that happens in here doesn't matter. That's the absolute truth, right? All of this is no man's land, no matter what happens, because the thesis for GME is that it's going to do a MicroStrategy or a MetaPlanet, right? MetaPlanet did this. Announces that it's buying Bitcoin. Stock does a 23x. MicroStrategy, as we know, 35x off the lows. And so the idea is that if they really are going to buy approximately $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, or $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to do a double or more, then hopefully this can do at least a 10x. That's the thesis, right? Can it, can't it? Who knows? Who actually knows? But I'm on this train, right? And that means whether it's going to crash or whether it's going to Valhalla, I'm going to be on board. So that's pretty much that. And yeah, that's really what I have to say about that, to be honest. We'll see. We will see. Am I a footy fan? No, I don't really follow any sports at all. Past midnight. Okay, Red or Black, thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for being a loyal member. Appreciate you. Have a good night. I'm going to log off in the next couple of minutes as well. Yeah, we'll see. Recently had an idea. Does the cycle theory work in bear markets if you invert the charts? No, it doesn't, because the translation shifts around. But we also had a similar idea for the indicator recently. We were wondering if we could invert it and get it to pick tops. So we are kind of experimenting with that as an idea. But we'll see. Have I got full video GME member section? I've got no price target for it, but I put out multiple videos for the level 3 members. If you go back and watch the last 2 or 3, I think we covered GME in all of them, and we put the entry with the exact price on the exact date that we entered for both positions, because I got a starter position and I doubled it there in the post tab. Yeah, GME and Fartcoin are the exit. And I'm your boy Camel. Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate you all. It's a nice way to pass some time whilst we wait for some cycle lows. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for the support. Welcome to Nick, who just joined Level 3 member. Go back and watch a few of the members' videos. Catch up, and you'll figure out what we're doing and why. And yeah, ignore the miners, man. Ignore the miners. Ignore it. Give it some time. Let the cycle play out, and we'll take it from there. Other than that, again, thank you all for being here. And if you haven't checked out camelfinance.co.uk, go and check that out. You could try it for 2 weeks, have a good look around, slurp all the content, and then quit if it's not for you. And check out the indicator as well, because notifications are coming for those, and we're going to be doing the DCA on the indicator in the not too distant future. So yeah, thank you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you're tuning in for the deep dive tomorrow. If you're a level 3 member, look out for the members video tomorrow. And other than that, Oh, sorry, Wilden. We just, we've been doing this for an hour and a half, I think. So you can go back and watch it on catch up. Sheep Herder, thanks for the new tune. I appreciate that. And yeah, other than that, have a great weekend. I'm your boy Camel. Cheers. Peace. Bye.